that only reforms can help the falling currency.
The rupee is officially now a senior citizen. Now you have to give 60 rupees to buy $1. It's giving headaches to policymakers as well as the public. With me is Director Research at the Brookings Institute, Subir Gokarn. Welcome to Doordarshan News, sir. Sir, my first question is, what is the main cause of rupee's decline?
Well, there are two factors that have been at work over the last few weeks. The first, the trigger was a global factor, which is the announcement by the US Federal Reserve that they were now thinking of stopping what has been so far a very aggressive infusion of liquidity into their financial system. The domestic factor comes from the size of the current account deficit. When it's so large, and ours is very large, notwithstanding the numbers that came out today, it's still quite large. That tends to create a sort of solid, robust demand for dollars at a time when the supply is actually dwindling.
Somehow the speculators are also responsible for the slide in rupee. Is it true?
Well, that's difficult for me to say. I'm not in the markets and I'm not observing them on any daily basis. So, other people have to confirm this. But the fact is that whatever speculators are doing, if they are doing anything, it is really reinforcing an underlying tendency. If the underlying tendency is towards further depreciation, speculative activity can sort of speed it up, can reinforce it.
So runaway rupee is the problem, but there must be a solution also. How can we stem the rise of rupee?
Well, it's tempting to think in terms of some silver bullet, some wave of the wand that's going to stop it. That's not the case. There is no instrument available that in this particular global and domestic context that you're going to just get the rupee to one day say, thus far no further. We have to get capital flows back into the country.
So reform, as you just said, is one of the measures by which we can stem the rise. Other is probably the RBI. Can RBI in somehow, by its own intervention?
If the trend is so strong and if it's basically being driven by structural factors, whether domestic or global, then intervention is really not a very effective instrument. And I think the view there is that it's better to a failed defense is worse than no defense.
So my last question is more philosophical one. What are the problems facing the Indian economy in the current scenario today?
Well, basically, if you want to put it in a nutshell, it is the fact that our investment climate has become somewhat difficult. So investment into productive capacity, whether it is infrastructure or other activities, is not happening for a variety of reasons. And until we get that momentum back, other problems are simply not going to be addressed.
So, but do you see any silver linings? The current account deficit CAD numbers came out. They came out at very less, in a sense, 3.6. So, do you see any silver linings?
I think the silver lining is not so much in data that refers to activity or outcomes of 3 months ago, but in things that the government is saying and doing, more importantly, in terms of addressing these investment climate issues.
So it seems reform is the only solution by which India's economic problems can be solved. With camera person Ramesh, this is Sidhant, Sibal, DD News, New Delhi.
And the Railway Ministry is comprehensively